views expressed on the following program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership.
Phoenix. Brother Mike is back on the radio. Welcome to HardcoreChristianity.com. Arizona, I'm back from the Arizona Deliverance Center. Thank you for tuning into the program today. Thank you for your time. Today's Bible study, Satanism gets its butt kicked. Okay. You need to call somebody now. Spiritual Warfare Day on HardcoreChristianity.com. Hey, this is Brother Mike. I'm the professional counselor at the Arizona Deliverance Center. I've been a professional counselor for 37 years, certifications and all that other jazz. But since 2005, I retired from secular counseling and do only Christian counseling now, specializing in healing, inner healing, and deliverance. The Arizona Deliverance Center, we have 2 services every week, live, 7 p.m., Thursdays and Fridays, preaching, teaching, healing, and deliverance at both services. We've had thousands of people delivered from being oppressed by spirits, hundreds of people physically healed. Please send us somebody who needs healing. We would appreciate it. We'd love to pray for you. On Facebook, you can join our groups, Hardcore Christianity. You can join our other group, Blessings, with all of our testimonies of healings. You'll love those. Take a copy of one and send it to somebody that needs some encouragement. Next free seminar is Satan's Secrets Part 2. People had their minds blown at Satan's Secrets Part 1. This one is going to kill you too. Sign up for the free seminar. Sister Karen's on page 1 of the website, and she wants to sell your house for you. In particular, if you're a born-again Christian, she loves working with the saints. Thank you for your referrals to her. We do appreciate it. As I've mentioned numerous times over the years, I don't take a salary for the ministry. I donate or tithe 100% of my salary to God. And so all the money you send in goes directly into the ministry. We are not one of these rot gut TV preachers looking for a limousine, a mansion, and a Learjet. We don't play that. Satanism takes a beating. Hey, I want to tell you something about a ministry that's out in New York. It's called John Ramirez Ministries, and he just put out an interesting article that I thought was of great value to Christianity in general. But this is one of those articles that it's really good and really bad too. I'm a little confused about it. The fact that I'm confused about something never prevented me from putting something on the radio before. Why start now? Check this article out. Quote, a man who used to be a high priest in the Church of Satan has opened up about the power of Christian prayer. Incredibly, he admitted that when followers of Jesus were praying for him, he found it incredibly difficult to engage in satanic activities. John Ramirez, who once worshipped the devil wholeheartedly, is now a Christian evangelist. Ramirez had made it his personal crusade to advise believers on the reality of spiritual warfare. He even wrote a book on the subject entitled Armed and Dangerous, the ultimate battle plan for targeting and defeating the enemy. That's his new book that came out. I have not read it, so I can't vouch for it. Quote, I wrote this book because I wanted Christians to know that it's not only a defense spiritual warfare, but there's an offense spiritual warfare as well, he told CBN News in a recent interview. We need to keep the devil in his place. And we all said amen to that. Quote, Ramirez explained that his devotion to Satan became most effective when believers were prayerless. Quote, I was able to go in there and capitalize and take a stand in the spirit realm against the Christians that were not praying. I took that territory away, so I owned your neighbor, your neighborhood, your region, because you didn't saturate it with prayers. I beat you to it, he says, unquote. But when Christians did pray, he said he found it created some sort of spiritual block, preventing him from engaging in evil activities. Quote, it is those believers, it's that group of people it's those intercessors that gave me such a beat down in the spirit world, he said. When I came into the neighborhood and they were in the spirit together holding hands, I don't know, but in the spirit realm, they were holding hands and it was blocking my activities. They were able to chase me out of the neighborhood. No mission accomplished. mission aborted, weakened my assignment, and no mission accomplished because they knew something. They had the power in that neighborhood that I didn't have, the power of prayer. Now, Ramirez is desperate to light a fire for prayer in the hearts of American Christians. And boy, he's got a huge job ahead of him, doesn't he? Wow, Christians won't pray for love nor money. He believes that too many believers are preoccupied with their own prayer requests instead of thinking bigger and praying for the nation. That is a place for your prayer life, he said, but no one is praying for your neighbor. So I was able to go in and capitalize. As a man who has seen the dark side, Ramirez knows the realities of prayer and the power of God at work. Quote, if I know what's going on in my neighborhood, then I know what to lift up to the altar of God, he said. And I think of times we miss it because we've been called to be intercessors between life and death. We need to intercede for our neighborhood, our region, then our family, our loved ones, our husbands, our wives, our workplaces, unquote. Despite living a life of chaos and selfishness, Ramirez came to realize just how empty Satanism really was. When he found Christ, he found true spiritual fulfillment. Quote, for 25 years of my life, I was able to do anything to anybody, anywhere, he said. I count that all to be foolish to gain Christ. He's my uno. He's the breath that I breathe. He walks with me. I can hear the sound of his voice in my ear. Okay, that's John Ramirez from John Ramirez Ministry. He's on the web, of course. Just put that in and you'll go right to his website. I looked at all of his videos. He's got a whole rack of videos showing his teachings and his services. His teachings seemed to be pretty good, but his services made me wonder what the heck was going on. I looked at all of his videos. There were, I don't know, a couple dozen of them on the website there. And not one person got delivered from demons in any of his services. He wasn't casting demons out of anybody. I'm not sure what in the world was going on. I don't have a final conclusion on it, but it seemed kind of weird. But anyway, if you go to hardcorechristianity.com, you'll see services where demons are flying out of people left and right, just like they did in the New Testament. Ephesians chapter 6. Here is the real essence of spiritual warfare. Here is all the stuff that John Ramirez left out of that article, but he did do an excellent job highlighting how powerful prayer was. He was 100% correct about that. That's for sure. Ephesians 6, quote, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, powers, rulers of the darkness of this world, and spiritual wickedness in high places. Everybody's read that verse. Principalities is the Greek word archon. It means rulers. Powers is the Greek word exousia. It means spiritual authorities. Rulers of the darkness of this world, kosmokrator, is the Greek word for world rulers, spiritual world rulers. And spiritual wickedness in high places was poneros, which means perverted spirits in high places. Eperonius is the Greek word. It means in the atmosphere above the earth. Demons travel through the atmosphere. Then it says, quote, wherefore take to you the whole armor of God. Now we get into spiritual warfare, not the kooky crackpot spiritual warfare stuff people talk about today, where they are rebuking generational curses, rebuking spirits from family trees. They are breaking curses, renouncing curses, repeating prayers, repeating renunciations, repeating good things, and so on. No, now here's real spiritual warfare, not the kind of stuff you see here in the Phoenix area for the most part. It says, take to you the whole armor of God. What armor is that? Rebuking curses and generational curses? No. It says that you may be able to stand in the evil day, having done all to stand. Stand, therefore, having your loins girt about you with truth. Put on the breastplate of righteousness. Shod your feet with the preparation of the gospel of peace. Take the shield of faith above all, so you will be able to quench the fiery darts of the wicked. Faith is the Greek word pistis. It means to believe with zero doubts and zero unbelief. Then it says, take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit. Did you know that most people that are in the ministry today in the denominations aren't even born-again Christians? That's why Paul said, hey, make sure you're actually born-again, Spirit-filled Christian. Take the helmet of salvation. Then take the sword of the Spirit, which is God's holy word. Then it says, as John Ramirez pointed out, quote, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, watching with all perseverance and supplication for all the saints. Watching, which is something born-again Christians don't do here in America. They're always asleep at the switch. Praying always, that's something they never do. That's ridiculous. And you are to pray with prayer and supplications. Diaesis is the Greek word for supplication there. It means to make a laundry list or a petition of your needs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and so on. And then you pray over those things in the Holy Ghost. You pray over them with your gift of glosa, your personal prayer language. You pray over your list of items in the Spirit. Watching with all perseverance, that's something Christians don't have. If they don't get something right away from God, they give up and quit. And supplication, diaesis, your list for all the saints, and pray for them in the Spirit. You see here that the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but they are mighty to God. What weapons are those? Truth, righteousness, peace, faith, quenching the fiery darts of the wicked, true salvation, and the sword of the Spirit, God's holy word, upheld by always praying with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit. Glosa, in your prayer, heavenly prayer language, with all perseverance and supplication. Renouncing things is good, and repenting of things is even better. And breaking curses and all that stuff is good, but it means nothing if you don't have truth and you don't have a breastplate of righteousness, you don't have the gospel of personal peace, and you don't have faith without doubts to quench the fiery darts of the wicked. That is real spiritual warfare. See you next time.
The views expressed on this program are those of the host and not necessarily those of staff, management, or ownership. This program was sponsored by Michael W. Smith.